This podcast contains adults using adult language. You have been warned.
We're live or something.
Oh.
Or something. Oh,
or
hi.
something. Yeah.
Hello, villains,
Oh,
and welcome
hi.
to another episode of Team X. Your Eat, Drink, Roll news time is 4:01 p.m. Eastern with a temperature of 78 degrees and a light rain falling over Philadelphia, which means it is perfect weather for a game of Dungeons and Dragons.
It's always perfect weather for a game of Dungeons and Dragons. The sky could be on fire, and it would be perfect time.
No, that would be time for running.
Eh.
Where to, I know not where, but somewhere. At any rate, let us introduce the dramatis personae for today. To my right,
I am Bob the Ninja Goldfish. I will be playing Corbin Oakenthane, freshly level 4, which means I am now a level 4 ranger. What? You don't get to change? Just kidding. I'm a level 2.
I was gonna roll with it, and then I was like, "Wait a minute."
this is not 4th edition.
I decided to take a second level in Monk, so I have gained key powers.
Cute.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's just keep it normal and go to my right.
I'm Clues playing my Gem Weaver. I'm now 4th level Norm Sorcerer. Means like
Fourth level Chaos Engine.
4th level Chaos. That
What-
means we have upped the Chaotic Nutella.
What did you do with your 4th level? Did you take a feat or did you take stat ups?
I took some stat ups. I really needed to bump up some of Dren's. I wanted to do a little bit more on the intelligence and the my constitution. So I figure I need to figure out more shit. So I've got to keep beefing up her intelligence stats.
Yeah, I had to add a whole new sheet to Corbin for this level.
We're gonna go to Gideon.
To which dragon?
Down.
Gideon.
Oh,
Oh, I thought you said
That way.
Okay. I am Blind Cleric. I'm playing Hugon Valander, 4th level human fighter.
And
Woo!
what did you do with your stat ups?
I decided to
Or
take.
did you take a feat?
I did not take a feat this time round. I took a stat increase in 2 ability scores.
He hits things harder.
No, actually, I rounded out my wisdom.
Ooh.
Yes.
Does your battle master work off wisdom?
No, but it will help me probably suck less at certain things, and also,
Which is always good.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't super pleased with having a couple of different scores where they were, and I was like, you know what, these need to be 3s. So I took the opportunity to increase my constitution and my wisdom both by 1, which is putting them at 16 apiece.
Yeah, see, this will surprise no one. Dren's wisdom is not very high.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Who could have guessed?
And to your right,
I guess
Yes,
it's
to my right, sorry.
Hi, I'm Viking Goat. I'm playing Thunic Gentle Trunk, who is now a 4th level Nature Domain Cleric.
all
And-
right.
After some discussion, the St. Brian allowed me to take a little bit of something from the Unearthed Arcana as a feat. I have Thunuk, who is already pretty empathic, as well. He's even more empathic now. He has the feat of empathic.
Oh,
What does
nice.
that do?
It increases your wisdom score by 1. You get a
That should be useless on Star Trek: The Next Generation for several seasons.
Hey, I'm playing Deanna Troy in Clues this game, and it's going brilliantly. Thank you very much.
and I get proficiency in insight if I don't already have proficiency, but if I do, I get devil bonus.
Ooh, expertise and proficiency.
Yeah, and another extra thing is I can use an action to try to get uncanny insight about a humanoid within 30 feet of me, which lets me do a contested wisdom versus charisma again, or insight versus deception on someone. And if I succeed, I get advantage on attack and ability checks on them. Pretty handy.
Because you know them.
Yes.
You have a shared moment.
Okay. Sure.
What is
And
this?
that, my
what is this,
friends,
chasing
It's a
Amy?
shared moment.
Which one of us is Holden McNeil?
I still haven't seen that.
Oh,
You really should.
I know.
anywho, we could spend just 2 hours just talking just about Kevin Smith movies, but we will not do that. We are not here to do that. That is not our purpose this afternoon. Our purpose this afternoon is to play Dungeons and Dragons. So that's what we're going to do, if everyone's on board with that. All in favor?
Sure.
Okay.
I could really go either way here.
I guess. You know?
So,
It's not like I'm super emotionally invested in this. This undertaking that we're doing.
So, when we had last left our heroes, they had engaged in some negotiations with Stenzlin Tomasi, a halfling merchant, one of the more successful one of the more successful merchants. Is him being a halfling really doesn't play into that, but one of the more successful merchants of Pinedale, with notable guest star Zedrim Kai, who came along for the ride and tried to exert his influence over things as well. But it was all while had the negotiations end up being able to unleash forces of destruction, as was proposed. That would have just been a bonus because it was all a ruse.
I care not for your ruse, man.
Your clever attempt to trick them, in a way of
I don't
trying
know if
to.
it was an attempt. It worked pretty great.
Well, listen, it was a clever attempt, and you made the attempt, and you were successful with said attempt. And because the team was able to discover who the Shadow Archer, or at least who the arrow belonged to, we'll say, which reasonably says that that we have someone who is the Shadow Archer, and that was Davison, a member.
Brian is Optimus Prime.
I was gonna say Starscream, but okay.
You went full robot there, and it was awesome.
He's
Did I?
not high pitched enough for Starscream.
That's true. That's true. Soundwave?
Starscream.
Oh,
Oh
whoa.
my
Wow, that
God.
went.
That was
Ooh.
bad.
That's bad.
No, I was leaning
Some
Shockwave.
static.
Shockwave was the coolest, at least voice-wise. Anyways, so you had discovered who the Shadow Archer was, and had been and met the rest of the retinue there, and if I remember correctly, Hugon and Corbin had gone back into the Silvered Harrier.
We were just inside.
We
Just
literally
inside.
just
Inside
walked
the
in the
door.
door when all this nonsense occurred.
Just inside.
Yeah, I
And-
was still like kind of peeking around the corner, keeping an eye on.
Yes. And Drenmai was right around the corner, and she was watching things. And Thunuk had gotten up, if I remember it. He was walking towards one of the armored gentlemen. And during the course and in the action of that, had the arrow that he had hidden up his sleeve that he had been using to try to figure out who the arrow was trying to identify, had almost slipped out of his sleeve, but he was able to very quickly and deftly catch it and put it up. But Davgold Dryadson had seen it, and he gives you a wink and a wry smile, and turns and starts to walk away from you.
Oh, is it walk? I thought he bolted.
Well, he takes the very first step, and this actually, for you, Thunuk, reminds you of something that you had gone through, or something that had come up with you and your master once, many years ago, when you were you were on one of your many walks through the forest. Very typical, that you two would walk through the woods and talk about the nature of the four, and the nature of the wood, and the
Mhm.
nature of nature, and but for whatever reason, the way that sometimes a certain smell can trigger a memory, or the way someone moves a certain way, it just sort of whatever, however those memories are chemically stored. Sometimes the strangest things can trigger these odd memories that you can see how they're connected, but it's something you hadn't thought about in years. And in this case, just with the rain falling, because we had said it was a rainy spring morning. Um, um, just for whatever reason, that the way that he turned the first step, it just reminded you of this one time when you were walking through the woods with your master, and you had come across a caravan, coming through the path, and they had seen you and your master. And this was not a case of where you two were attempting to be unseen, because truly, as Firbolg, if you had decided not to be seen in the wood, you would not be seen.
Mhm.
But you weren't. Neither one of you were making any kind of attempt. And they see you, and they quickly fled in terror from seeing the two of you. And your master turned to you and said, be not disturbed at being misunderstood. Be disturbed, rather, at not being understanding. They do not understand who we are, so they run. Do not ever let that haunt your thoughts. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Is this effectively where the flashback ends, or does Thunik end up actually responding? Because
No, we're still you're still going through this memory.
Okay. Thunik, I guess he responds back in the day as, I guess, just because someone's afraid of me doesn't mean they don't like me. Or maybe. I don't know. People are afraid for weird reasons.
AKA no, he doesn't understand.
Do you understand? I do not.
Narrator, he did not understand.
Sure, I completely understand.
Yes, I completely understand.
I totally understand what you're saying.
And he says, no, people tend to fear what they do not understand. And so for now, they see us as, these people had seen us as monsters or giants or something other than we are. And in that moment, they reacted to their fear. Had they taken a moment to seek understanding, though, does that mean they would still not be afraid of us?
Well, that makes sense. But maybe they wouldn't be afraid if it's us, but maybe they would still be afraid if, or, dead if it's something big and hungry.
This is true. Fear is not always a bad thing. Fear can tell us when to run, when to stay, when to avoid danger. But the key is to make sure that we do not allow the fear to overrun our lives. The same way that we should not allow our curiosity to understand override our lives. Before you know it, you walk directly into the dragon's mouth. This is the balance that the four have tried to teach us. So right now, he stops, and he like just takes a moment and closes his eyes, and you can just sort of you can sense he's just sort of taking in the wood around him, and he says, "What do you sense right now in the balance of things right now?"
Hmm. I do not
Don't
know.
worry, that was just the stomach.
And you can hear the wind moving through the trees and the birds chirping, and you can basically all the sounds of the forest. Fearbolg, I imagine, would be very highly attuned to those sounds and probably have pretty good hearing. I would imagine they'd have decent hearing. You'd hope with ears like that they would be able to pick up on that, and you can smell the earth
Mhm.
and hear the rain falling, and you can still hear the caravan moving away. There's quite a distance now, but they're kind of at the edge of your attention.
Oh, so the caravan, not just the people of the caravan bolted, but the caravan went into full speed.
Yeah, they turned around and just hightailed it a different direction. They didn't just get off their carts and
Okay.
scatter into the wood. Ooh, free stuff.
I don't really sense anything specific to the balance being different than it was before, except maybe these people feel maybe less frightened because they think they're getting away from something scary, which they don't need to be scared of.
This is true. So, if the four each take their turn, and they willingly give up their time to the next one, what should happen if one were not to do its duty?
They can do that? That'd be bad. It'd be too hot or too cold or seeds wouldn't sprout.
Or sprout too much?
Yeah.
And as he says that, he reaches up, and there's one leaf on a branch that has like this orange yellow fungus on it, and he plucks it, and you can see, based on your studies, is that this is not normal. This is not a fungus that's native to this area of the wood. This is almost like an invasive species of fungus.
Mhm.
There's nothing magical about it. Just that you've seen pictures of this kind of fungus before, but you know that it's not native to this part, and you know what happens when an invasive species moves in. If a new fungus quickly blight an entire area of the wood, because the trees and the plants aren't used to fighting off this disease, and it doesn't have the natural enemies, the insects that eat it or anything like that. And so, but he plucks this off, and he says, "That which does not enrich balance but seeks to destroy it or use it for ill ends may need to be removed." And he actually puts it into one of his pouches, not near his other herbs and everything. He's got like a pouch that you've seen him do this before, where he, he's not necessarily picking off dead leaves or anything like that, but you've seen him when there's an invasive species that probably shouldn't be there of
Mhm.
plants, to like pluck it and remove it. He puts it. And that's where that memory for you ends. Just for whatever reason, just the events of the morning just triggered this little brief flash of memory. So we flash back to the present, and Davgol Dryadson has given you this wry smile and like a wink, and he as if to say, "Catch me if you can." And almost in slow motion, he takes another step, and you can hear as that happens, some of his armor, the leather armor that he's wearing, like creaks just a little bit. And Dren,
Oh shit! What'd I do? Did something explode and I didn't do it.
this actually triggers a memory with you. There's a theme today.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
And so you've been watching from this corner. You've been watching this
the
whole.
theme we're still not gonna fight this fucking thing 14 episodes in.
So you've been watching from this corner. You watched all the conversations, everything unfold before you, and you had heard all the conversations that Razi was relaying to you, from the initial meeting. So you've been prepared for whatever action that you may need to take. But for whatever reason, just memory triggers with you, and you think back to with the sound of this leather creaking, and it reminds you of a time when you were a wee little Dren. Wee little Dren.
Cute.
A tinier.
Tinier.
An even tinier Dren.
I would say she's always tiny.
Tinier.
I'm
With these
smaller.
big
I'm
eyes.
pocket size.
She's
was
always
actually-
wee.
Portable Dren.
This mental image of like an adolescent Dren in like someone's breast pocket. Like, go that way, do that.
See,
Tiny.
I've got the image of an adolescent Dren being that one goth girl in school.
Yeah, but that's in the later years. These are apparently young years.
Yeah, this is like more like toddler, just beyond toddler years. And you think back to working in your father's workshop,
Okay.
and your father showing you, because your father tinkered,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and it was actually he was working on this armored gauntlet and trying to get the leather workings off of it. And he's asking you for the various tools, and you're like, oh, hand me that one over there, and you like would quick run over and grab it. And even sometimes it was the wrong one, it didn't matter.
Probably the wrong one. Still learning. Yeah. Okay.
So and he says, and he's like, so do you want to take a try at this one? And he hands
This is
you.
how Dren's parents died.
And it's that episode. So he hands you one of the spanners and one of the spanner and one of the screwdrivers, and says, "Well, little one, have at it."
Have at it means so many things to Dren at a young age. Then
He says, "Every suit of armor has its chinks. When one is clever, one can understand how anything works given enough time, and even the most fearsome enemy can be hobbled, even if only for a time."
I'm picturing myself like sitting at this with like, Daddy's letting me use the tools. But also, if this is like an actual job, she'd be like, okay, do this.
Careful.
Careful. Don't
Careful.
get too excited. Be happy. So she'd probably like try and just go in and like start trying to be like a little careful with things.
Mhm.
But then it's like as I'm getting like more into it, it's probably like, oh, okay, I got this. So you're gonna take it. You know, I feel like start getting more into it.
Honey, you don't use the screwdriver to shank the object. Just
It's concussive maintenance. And he laughs a bit, you know, because he's like, he says, "Oh, patience is not going to be a virtue with you, is it?"
Pat.
Pats you on the head. And he says, it might seem like it's easy to just stab at it with the screwdriver or hit it with the wrench. But it won't always get you to where you need to be. So you must always do what's right. Do you understand?
Whack, whack, whack.
Narrator, she did not understand.
She did not understand.
Okay, Daddy. Grabs a different tool. Like, that's what Dad must have meant. He meant I'm using the wrong tool. Grabs a pair of pliers, starts pulling on the leather.
And the leather snaps off.
You wanted it off, right?
Off is what we were going for.
Off is what we were going for. You must always use the right tool.
It's off. Just pleased with herself.
So, and just for what, you know, the memory ends. It was just that moment of just, you know, because it's weird how the brain works, right? How you can relive that moment, this long, you know, interlude of memory, but you can do it in an instant, the speed that the brain works.
Yeah.
And so again, still moving in slow motion. The Davgold has now really started to take a turn and take another step. And so far, the other people in the retinue don't seem like they're too interested in getting up and moving. You haven't seen any of them begin to reach and draw for swords. So Corbin, you were just inside the doorway, and your dwarf sense tells you that someone is attempting to run. You just that sound, that motion.
Bat dwarf mode has been activated. It's on.
And you turn, and again, it's almost like in slow motion where you see him, Davgold. There's like a little, so you have all the tables, and then there's like a little, almost like picket fence. Not so much a picket fence, but like a fence where sometimes, you know, horses might be tied.
Posts and that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you see him take like a leap onto the nearest one to him. Like it was in his way, and he's almost doing like the parkour thing, right, where he's just gonna hit it. And surprise, this reminds you of some time at the monastery when we're talking about a not so wee Corbin, because we've got wee, not so wee, and then friggin' huge. We've done wee, we've done friggin' huge. Now we do not so wee.
We occupy the center.
Yeah. Well, no, you'd occupy the center, wouldn't you?
You're not so wee. I think I'm like middle wee.
Okay.
I think that's the arc of the wee track that we're taking.
All right, just for purposes, in English slang, wee means to urinate. So can we not talk about the arc of the wee?
Yeah. It was not my intent.
So, but you remember, you're reminded of one of the lessons that you received from one of the masters at the monastery, a tabaxi, named Ember Sky after the storm, who was old when you got there, but he had reached that point of his monkly power where he did not he just never seemed to age. He just seemed completely ageless. And you remember there was an afternoon, rainy afternoon, weather very similar to this, where you were he was sitting under a tree. He's sipping a cup of tea, very relaxed, and he was having you do it was one of the exercises where there was poles of various heights and widths driven into the ground, and it was your job, your task was to traverse this area as deftly as possible. And you had been able to master this before, but now they were starting to give you more tasks to do while doing it. So this was doing some of like the fan techniques, where you had two fans that you had to perform, certain motions with as you were doing these moves. And you've fallen several times while attempting to do this. Just for whatever reason, the added task of doing this now with your hands occupied just has messed up your equilibrium to a point where it's like, okay, this isn't familiar. And you do know that the monks will also change the heights of the poles, so that way it's not you just getting used to the one course. And okay, now I do the course with the fans. Now it's it's always changing. And you just and you remember him saying, "Again, Corbin, again, do it again."
Okay, I jump down and walk across the floor.
Yes.
No, like I walk between the poles to the other side.
That's so you tried that the first time. And while they commended you for your creativity, it also resulted in kitchen duty for several weeks.
I'm okay with that.
So that the intent behind this is the actual. It's not a problem solving. It is a dexterity exercise. It's not it's.
But Master Oakhart teaches us that when you're presented with a problem, you change the rules.
And he says, while this is not a bad strategy, it's always good to have multiple strategies, for sometimes the rules cannot be changed.
So I do it again.
So,
he wants me to do it again. I do it again.
Yeah. So, and you've had a warm relationship with Ember Sky. He's not a cruel master. He has very high expectations of you. But you've never sensed cruelty or malice from him. You've seen only curiosity and compassion, and a dedication to his art, a dedication to his studies, and he has the same demands of his students. And you've seen it where there have been some students who've absolutely loathed working with him, and sometimes it's because maybe he's too aloof, or sometimes you have that teacher because they have that high standard and you're unable to meet it. Just there's students that just, oh well, the teacher doesn't like me. But you've never seen that with him, because it's never been you've done it wrong. It's been you've done it wrong, or you did it the best you could this time. Now let's do it better. and he's been there to, and you've noticed some help with that. So do a quick dex check for your first part of the traverse here.
22.
Okay, so you're able to leap up, and you're able to move through these the fan kata as you leap from pole to pole. And he says, when we focused on revenge for our past, the road forward is clouded with emotion, and we strike out at shadows. Do another dex check for the next section.
Dex or acrobatics?
Either or.
19.
And so this time you're able to go through a few more of the motions, and on the last one you land well, but not quite as deftly as the last one, and you have to make a very slight shift in your balance to. It's not like a full on like whoa, but there's land and just a slight shift just to make sure that you didn't lose your balance. And he says, when we focus on enlightenment, the road ahead is clear. And when we strike true. And do another dex check.
That would be 20.
20. A dirty 20?
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Dirty 20. And he says, just as tall trees are known by their shadows, so are good men known by their enemies. And give me one more check.
Womp womp. Womp,
Wah, wah,
womp.
wah, wah, wah.
That's the first 20 we've gotten in a while.
And you're able to finish your final part of the, where you're able to finish your final part of traversing this pole course, doing the katas, and everything just lands perfectly. Your balance is perfect underneath you the entire time, and you're able to stick the landing. Super light, like almost silent with the landing.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, as you were doing this, he moved without you even noticing, and he's now sitting. So you had started near him by the poles, and when you land, now he's sitting in front of you. You hadn't even seen him move, and he's just sitting there sipping his tea. And he says, "What took you so long? Will you join me for some tea?"
And I'll look at him and I'll say,
I hate tabaxi.
no.
Sorry.
I'll say, your words are fine, master. But I don't think they point to my intentions for being here. I'm not here to study for revenge. I'm not here to study for enlightenment. So what does that make my brain? If it's clouded for vengeance and clear for enlightenment, what does that make me?
A thirsty man.
At a point,
Have some tea.
and I will join him for tea.
And again, memory. That was just a brief memory of the positioning and everything. of watching him leap up on watching Davgul Dryadson. And then snap back to the present. And Davgold is taking now a leap off of the post and is getting close to landing in the road. Hugon, you saw Corbin snap around, and just by reflex, you know your comrade looks at something, you immediately, your eyes just automatically snap.
It's like the
And you
hair
don't-
on the back of your neck thing.
And you don't get a flashback. No, no.
Hey, look, hey, look, that's fine.
And you're dead.
And you
Oh.
die.
A spear comes through your chest. Oh, lame.
No, I think I'm going to be pretty good.
This looks like it's gonna hurt.
And you are as he lands, he starts to run, and your immediate reaction is usually in a situation like this is to now go after your quarry. And you flash back to this bar. And this was in the middle of one of the many campaigns that you had fought in, and you had been rotated out of active duty. You needed some time away from the line. So this is a younger Hugon, possibly a less salty Hugon.
No,
He is equally as salty.
this is the salt that
no
you're
way.
born with. This isn't a game.
this is natural born salt.
It's natural.
This is no extra salt added.
This
This is not low sodium Hugon.
No,
is not low
low-
sodium here.
natural born salt, always.
Cardiologist warn away from this level of Hugon.
This is not part of the
When you
heart
go to
healthy
the
diet
hospital-
Hugon.
When you go in the hospital, they put you on Hugon-free diets.
Hugon-free diets. Yes.
So, and you seem to, and you remember, you don't even remember how this particular bar fight got started.
The best kind.
It was totally.
I don't
his
even know
fault.
what we're fighting about, but I'm gonna kick your ass.
It was Hugon being racist about something.
Probably.
You seem to recall something about there were billiards tables there. Someone from one of the mercenary units that happened to be there said something untoward about your unit.
We can't have that.
No, yeah. See, the mom jokes, they could have joked about his mom, and it wouldn't. In between soldiers, that's like okay, you
You
know.
might as well be breathing. It's
Yeah, but
not any different.
but
The
you
unit is
question a
family.
unit's bravery and honor, and you call into question their ability in war, and that's just it. You add in now people who are well into their cups, and you add in the fact that everyone there was carrying a stick for playing billiards. Bad combination. Because
Amazing
even when you're sober, you know what you want to do with that pool cue. You want to spin that thing around. Even if you don't, you're thinking this would be a pretty good 80s action movie right now. I'm going to snap this thing over my knee, and I'm going to perfect weapon someone with this thing. So you now the thing about this is that you are outnumbered, like 4-1. But at this point, it does not matter. Roll for initiative.
Okay.
Wait, all of us or just
No,
me?
just me.
just you.
Okay,
You don't get to be the phantoms in my mind. I have a
I'd be the voice in your head.
11. No, that's a terrible voice. I don't want that voice. No, you stop that.
So the first one.
What?
So the first one is able to bring their Q down, but you're able to get your arm up in time. Now you're not armored at this point.
Oh, certainly not.
So
but I'm
it definitely.
drunk, so that's like drunkenness is like +4 AC, right?
No. It just increases your pain tolerance.
Yeah.
For the moment. So you're able to get you're kind of able to get your arm up, and it hits there, and it's gonna go. I'm gonna feel that later. And then the second one is able to get in there, and he just completely misses. Another miss. This, and all this, then one of them is actually able to crack you in the side there, and you feel like a little bit of a crunch. Now it is your turn.
Okay. Am I like near a billiards table?
You might be, yeah.
Well, I pick up a billiards ball
Okay.
and I wing it at the nearest son of a bitch.
Okay, that would be a dexterity attack.
I have a 15 on the dice, plus 2 dexterity, plus proficiency bonus. 19.
All right, so you're able to hit one of them.
What?
Give me a 1d4 on that.
All right. 1.
So you're able to hit him, but you think you just made him angry. So now it's their turn again.
Right. Also, I don't know if you clarified if Hugon is holding a pull cue. But at this point, let's just say that he's not.
So the one that you hit with the pool ball just comes in and swings you and cracks you across the head. And the next one comes in, and they're starting to beat down on you at this point. And during the course of this, there's a sudden burst of chalk powder into the first one's face. And so this is kind of like old school, like Mr. Fuji, like one of those, like completely in the guy's face. It's now like this, and he's like he can't see now, and not in that cool like Bloodsport Jean-Claude Van Damme way where it's can't see but can see everything. This is like no, he's got chalk in his eye. He can't see, and this fist just comes out of nowhere and cracks him across the jaw. And this half-elf says to you, "Remove an enemy's sight first. A blind enemy begins to be at your mercy." And then very quickly, like this flurry of blows is able to quickly dispatch the other 4 of these guys. And just drop them. I mean, they're like boom, 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 down. The one is still there, kind of clearing his eyes, and she walks up and just pushes his head as she sweeps his ankle out from underneath him, and he cracks his head on the side of the table, and they're all out unconscious. And she says, "If you just charge in head first, yours the first head that comes off. If you can't learn that, I've got nothing more to teach you."
And Hugon, who is very drunk, I bet, is like,
"Snap, son."
Are we doing lessons now? What?
You need them.
What's happening?
What's happening now is you're going to learn how to make a plan. Like now, my goal is to get drunk, and my plan is to do it somewhere else before this luck comes to. Are you coming with me?
All right. Drinking is good. We like drinking.
And that is how you met Kezra Tannerthel, who we will come circle back to at some kind
Eventually,
of later date.
yes.
Eventually. And you snap back into the present, and now you see Davgold is trying to make his getaway. He's already gotten several steps ahead of everyone. What is it that you guys would like to do here?
Okay. Are we in initiative?
That is completely up
Do
to
we
you.
want to be?
It's Dungeons and Dragons. You could be if you wanted to be.
Yeah, I'm still on the outside, so I'm basically taking my cue off you guys in there. So I can't really give too much input without going all meta.
Hugon does not know that the arrow pointed at Davgold. He just sees that Davgold is leaving in a swift manner.
Yeah, so
Thunuk
the
doesn't
only
like that he's being swift about it, so he wants to slow him down a bit.
Thunuk doesn't enjoy that?
That he's being swift about it? No, not really.
Okay. I mean, I'll take the cue from him. I mean, you're the one who knows the situation, so.
Corbin has a question.
Did none of you learn anything from your memories? Or sorry. We don't fight this fight. We're outnumbered. We're on turf they know better than us. And we're not gonna be able to take 5 or 6 heavily armored people plus the Duke. And if we act now against the archer, Tomasi's family's in danger.
Which I also don't know.
Actually, the whole flashback thing does ring true now that you mention it.
Does anyone but Corbin know about the Tomasi family thing?
No, Corbin, that was like...
I did Eldrin.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so I know, but I'm on the outside. Okay, got it.
Yeah, if this is me, I'm not taking this fight. We are outnumbered by a person that can cause us to feel like we want to run away just by walking near him. We have a Shadow Archer that is going to run away and get high ground on us, or be able to get into territory they know better than we do because we've been in town for less than a week.
Mm-hmm.
We have at least one quasi-barbarian looking fella. We have 2 what I would call, if I wasn't a WoW player, Death Knights.
Yeah.
And at least 2 rangers or rogues. This isn't a fight we win.
Actually, Brian, can I make an insight check real quick?
You can do whatever you want.
I would like to try to size up the capabilities of these people.
Okay.
Just as a kind of a sweep the room, get an idea of just how
it's that equalizer moment,
Use
right?
those
It's
warrior
the
senses of yours.
yeah, just trying to get a feel.
It's that Denzel moment where he goes around and all right, 17 seconds.
I have a natural 20.
You know nothing. No.
What?
Well, shit.
Wow.
You and Jon Snow.
Which means you fuck your aunt.
Yeah, okay.
Your sense of the situation, if you're just going to if you're just sizing up ability versus ability, it's basically you're standing on the battle line.
Right, and I'm trying to look for, in sequence, most to least dangerous.
Okay.
And
I think a 20 buys you that.
It can be as vague or as specific as you want, based on Hugon's experience.
I would think that with a natural 20, I would think that
I feel like there'd be a Boolean answer there of like, can I take him in a fight?
Like,
So the answer.
Hugon's third eye kicks in, is like, blah.
It's like a mind palace for ass kicking.
I'm actually seeing that whole scene from the beginning of Terminator 2 when he's walking into the bar. He's like literally sizing everyone up and deciding what their threat level is and like clothing size.
And clothing size. So
I know all their favorite ice creams.
And whether it's Jimmy's or Sprinkles. Or is that just a Philadelphia thing?
That's just a Philadelphia.
I think it's probably.
I don't even know what a
Philly
Jimmy
thing.
is.
They're Sprinkles.
Philadelphia.
Jimmy means something completely different over here, but we'll just go past that.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, okay, yeah. Natural 20 buys you an itemized list of who you could take in this fight. You are relatively certain, given the armor and armaments of the mailed folks, Richter Carter and Petrora Arroway, that they would probably make very short work of you.
Okay.
Um,
As blackguards are wont to do.
You would say that the older of the two roguish ladies, you might be able to take her in a fight were it one-on-one, under specific circumstances. You think that Davgold, with your team, you and your team could take Davgold down, possibly Davgold and one of the rogues. You think that individually you might be pretty evenly matched with the barbarian looking guy, and the younger of the rogues you individually might be able to take. You as a team could definitely take. But if you were to assess the entire situation of Team X versus these folks, if you're going through like the Doctor Strange thing of going through all the different scenarios against Thanos, it's not that there are no scenarios in which you win. It's just that there's probably very few that if you were to get into an outright fight with all of them, that it would end well.
Dread gets knocked out by something, looks at Hugon. Hugon, I don't feel so good.
Knowing these things.
Yeah, because Hugon's the Tony Stark around here.
Yeah, that's not true at all.
Well, he has the most metal on him, so
if Drin said, "I'd be like, I don't feel so good," I'd be like, "Well, rub some dirt on it. Get up."
Yeah. So
we don't have time for this. Seeing these,
suck it up.
With this assessment in mind, Hugon will very calmly call out to Thunuk. Thunuk. Come inside. We've got paperwork to do. Come inside. We have paperwork to do.
Okay. And Thunuk starts walking.
Hugon will look to the like pass a pointed glance over all of them and just step inside.
But before he actually passes, what was his name? Richter Carter, the guy with the voice. He'll actually look over and say, "You sure? I can make you like a lozenge or something like that. It'd really help with. It doesn't sound comfortable or good. I mean, are you sure?
Oh,
I know an excellent steam thing to help with that."
I have a question. This is for Brian. Being the people person that I am, do I feel they're all on board with this like dark evil thing, because the younger of the two roguish types, who I believe her name was Larissa Fielder.
Yes, Fiedlerson.
Yeah. Who, and you did say you were going to send us spellings for all of these, and then didn't.
I apologize.
But then
Kidneys
again,
happened.
I was going to say, then again, your body was hating you.
And Bob, you can appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why I haven't made a joke about level 2 Documency yet.
I've been thinking about that, and we're gonna get to that anyway.
Okay.
I have lots of time to think.
But the younger of the two roguish types hasn't actually said anything the whole time we're here. She's the only one that hasn't spoken. So I'm wondering if the reason she hasn't spoken is because she's not as comfortable with this situation as the others, or what they're being asked to do.
That would be an insight.
Alrighty. Ooh. That'd be 24?
You know nothing.
No.
No. You know. Yeah. So. Yeah, your knowledge of body language would indicate that she and the barbarian fellow are somehow apart, like with them, but not. There's a certain, I guess, discomfort would be the only way to describe it, where it's not that they don't want to be there, but you can see there's it's very subtle.
Yeah.
Just the distance that they keep. How there's usually some defensive body language, arm crossed, not that you've,
Like when he was saying her name, she
Catch
might
like
have
an
bristled
eye
a little
roll when they
bit.
say something.
yeah, like a slight flinch. Yeah, your Patrick Jane senses are telling you that there's something not quite right, not necessarily wrong with them, but yeah, that they're not. They haven't necessarily drank the Kool-Aid.
Just gonna offer her a smile. Like, this has been a very sort of you gone whipping the dick out and like measuring up with the rest of them. But I think I'm just gonna smile, give Lucille a genuine smile, she just I don't want to I don't want to fight these people. I just want to stop the people in the town getting hurt, right? And if there's an alternate way of doing that doesn't involve fighting, then I'm not gonna.
She is.
I'm just gonna offer her a nice smile.
She is just
not
lascivious.
Yeah, but no. Just not just turn to her and smile, right? But yeah, I'm not giving her the old.
Oh, buddy, Jesus!
Right? It's like as I turned to go back inside, right? And I thought, and I looked over and said, oh, I'm just gonna and as I'm looking back, just naturally catch her eyes, give her a smile. Let's give her a natural, friendly smile.
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue back inside.
So you're not gonna Jim Dark Magic it?
Have a magical day.
No, because I'm not an insincere motherfucker.
Her face is just stone with that. Although you would imagine that she's an attractive, by human standards,
Mhm.
um, woman that might just be a defense mechanism that
Yeah.
anyone smiles and it's like, ugh, the barbarian, though, you're not entirely unsure that he did not growl a little bit at with you smiling at her.
Then I'll look over as he growls and give him a smile too.
And that just makes him uncomfortable. He's just
I'm not like this isn't like lascivious. This isn't like
No, I
come on
know.
in any way. It's just Corbin being friendly to two people.
So imagine being friendly to someone in New York City.
I've done it. It's not that complicated.
No, for you,
maybe
but the New Yorker reaction is like usually the fuck.
No,
You know?
no, it's not. But maybe it's the accent that gives me an advantage. But
Because you're really out of town.
yeah,
Maybe.
I'm not even from upstate. Like,
Well,
but
New
yeah,
York
like,
was
it's just-
once New Amsterdam.
No, but like it's just I just want to like Corbin's first thing every time isn't I'm gonna beat the shit out of them.
Mhm.
Right? Corbin's first stop every time is there a way to talk or think our way out of this? Right?
Mhm.
And he doesn't want to fight these people, so he's just gonna be friendly to them till he's forced otherwise. Like,
Mhm.
just like, and if they're uncomfortable with that, so much the better.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm imagining Corbin as like Aang, but with a beard from the Last
No.
Airbender.
I was thinking more like Uncle
No.
Hero.
Uncle.
A little bit. A little bit. He's very. Yeah, we'll get into it later. But,
Corbin doesn't drink.
Corbin drinks tea.
Corbin drinks coffee.
Uncle Iroh was drunk AF.
Okay, not all the time. I
There
didn't
was
say
a
he
little-
was a
there
I
was
didn't
a
say he
little
was
something
carbon
extra in that
copy.
Honestly, I think if you want to do the not all the time thing, Corbin is way more like Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes,
Okay, that makes sense.
right?
I can see it.
Like he tries to think like that's kind of what I have in my brain a little bit, but like it's just he's not that socially inept.
Mhm.
So it's just like I don't want to provoke these people, and B, just we don't need to chase the guy. We've got the fucking arrow, right?
Yeah,
We don't need to do anything. We've got a signature on a piece of paper that says the Lord is and his retinue are responsible for all of this. Like, we literally don't need to fight these people.
Is your ultimate goal to get the Shadow Archer alone? Because that's who the arrow was pointing at, right?
I don't. My ultimate goal is to stop innocent people getting hurt. And if I can do that without confrontation, so much the better. But we should be having this conversation in character.
Well, not me. I'm just like maybe popping
Yeah,
up from
but
a
once
window
I'm inside,
sometimes.
once I'm inside, I can be like, bleep, then don't pursue and come on in.
yeah. I'm
Is your
at this
tomato
point,
still in there?
having made an objective assessment of all of our chances, materialistically speaking, against these people, Yugon's much less enthused as chasing the man down. So he's definitely staying inside.
And by the time you go back in, Zedrim Kai had finished whatever he was drinking, his cup of coffee or whatever, and and had he does things on his own time. He doesn't ever want to seem like he's been dismissed from a meeting, so he lingered for an extra few minutes because it suited him. And as you're coming in, he's just walking towards the door.
I'll offer him a smile as well. And actually, I'll stop and say, Lord K, I do want to apologise if we got off on the wrong foot. Seeing all this stuff that the town's going through has kind of put me on edge, and I do apologise for any misunderstandings we may have had.
And his response is just,
You deserve better. And he smile, and I'll head off to the ink only part of the bar.
sorry, you're not allowed in here. You're not cool enough.
Well, no, because we've got that little area. We've got that area underground that's just for us.
Yeah.
So I'm heading down there.
Mm-hmm. To the members only area.
Yeah, I think that's where Hugon would be going, and if Thunuk is amenable to it, he would he'd point and let's go down there.
Yeah, Thunuk's basically he's going to accept the whole waving off of like the lozenge and like the steam recommendation thing, because I suspect the dude's probably just going to wave him off. And
yeah, so he just stone eyes you with that. I mean, he has not shown one bit of emotion. Patrora Arroway, the other armored guy, is just this amuses him. This whole conversation that you're having with him is just utterly delighted him. So okay, so you're going to go in. Are you going down into the clubhouse?
Yes, but I am also going to say, well, it was nice meeting you, because I see Corbin being very polite about leaving, so Thunuk's going to take his cue from that. Like, it was nice meeting you all. Bye bye. It was nice. Hope to see you around. Have a nice day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's sort of like a moment ago we were supposed to possibly find the guy who was trying to hurt us, and now we're supposed to be polite to him. So it's all very awkward.
I don't know what to do.
We did find him.
Yes, it's true, but hearkening back to Thunuk's teachings, if something is harming the balance or is should not be there, it should be removed. He is basically like, I guess we're removing it later. Sort of thinking.
Not having seen your flashback,
precisely.
I can't respond.
we would not be able to determine that.
Yeah.
But again, this is a conversation we should be having in character.
Yeah. Yes. So he's backing out. He's like leaving like awkwardly and being trying to be super polite, because you're supposed to be polite, and like, nice meeting you there, but I'll see you guys around. Have a nice day, and like close the door.
Drenmai, your bag, your deposit bag, the safety deposit box bag, the Ack Inc. bag, the one where you put the stuff in, and you can also take it out.
In, out, shake it all about.
Na, 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 na.
You do the Hugon and you serve it all about. He's great at weddings. So you actually, it starts kind of like coughing a little bit, like almost sounds like a cat trying to cough up a hairball.
God.
And then and
I haven't messed with you.
But this package comes out, and it's got it's like this. It's this box that's probably about 10 inches wide, or 10 inches wide, 8 inches long, 3 inches deep, and it's wrapped in looks like burlap, and it's got metal bands around it, like sealing it together. And it says and it's got a tag on it that says delivered to Documancer.
She's gonna try and open it.
I was rolling to see if I open it or not. I don't.
Pulled it.
Fair enough.
I gave myself the 50-50. Evens, I would have opened it. Odds, don't open it. Actually follow instructions. So I probably have the idea, like, it's metal bit, fine. I'm probably gonna be staring at it. I'm gonna shake it a little. See if I hear anything as I'm like walking down to the members only area.
This sound like a small child with Christmas presents, like poke, poke. Is it soft? Is
Exactly.
it jingly?
It's
I
not
hear
making any
thudding?
noise. No, it is
No
not making
noise.
any noise. No.
I've lost all interest. I just look at Corbin.
Never mind. I don't even want to open it anymore.
I don't care. There's an empty box that came through it's for some reason it's with me here. Here's empty air box.
Here's your dumb shit.
Here's your dumb shit that I'm not interested in. It's probably noticeably shooken.
So I'll sit down at my desk. And I'll look at like I'll take the box and I'll put it down and I'll look over at Hugo and I'll be like, so you and I had the same thought apparently.
Absolutely. It's not a fight that we can win.
And at your touch, you did hear a click from the metal bands, as in like a release.
And while we're talking, I'll just sort of, I'll literally like, I'll start to open it. I'll stop. I'll look over at Drenmai and I'll be like,
Yeah, you see her like not wanting to eyeball it, but eyeballing it.
yeah,
Like
I'm
not trying to look, but looking.
And I'm like, yeah, do you wanna see what's in here or?
No, you guys were talking. You can finish your talk.
I can do two things at once, lass.
Okay.
Right.
Which astounds her.
So I like open it really quickly and close it. So I open it really. Yeah. So while I'm talking to Hugo, I'm like, so and then I'll wait for her to come over, and then I'll open it up. Is it hinged or is it like a slide lid or what?
So, you take the metal bands off, and you're able to unwrap the burlap from around it, and what's inside is this beautiful wooden box.
Box? Littler box.
You would say it's probably mahogany.
Of course.
With the AC Inc. logo inlaid in a slightly lighter wood. We'll call it an acacia wood. Your name in gold leaf, and you like as you have this, you feel like you just know that there's two spots on, and there's like lighter wooden panels going around the edge, right? And you just feel like I should probably push on these two here.
Getting an image of the briefcase from
Click.
with Love.
Are we happy?
Where if you
Yeah, we're happy.
No. It's that James Bond briefcase where if he turns the things and clicks, it explodes.
Oh, right.
So yeah,
And it's not so much a click as much as they very softly move in, and you can feel almost like a catch has released, and the box like opens up and like it just opens in different directions, and it turns into like a full-on like writing station.
Nice.
Okay, I thought this was gonna be like a Pulp Fiction type thing. I'd be like, son of a bitch, we're never gonna know what's in the fucking box.
He opens it, it shines gold, and he goes, okay, that's enough.
And we're
We'd be
done.
like,
No, like the one side opens up and it's got like the different quills ready to go. If you were to look at the dimensions of the box, the quills should have been like bent.
yeah.
But they're not. And then on the other side, you've got like the various ink wells, for the and there's more slots that you could put more in there, but it's got like your standard, your blue, your black, your red. It's got some sealing wax in there. And it there's a note in there from the secretarian. It says,
Which instantly gets flipped over.
you didn't want to read it?
No, I don't want other people to read it.
So you were able to see secretarian at the bottom, so you can flip that over.
Well, no, it's like I'm guessing that the Drenmai's like, ooh, transforming.
I'm
Like without
yeah,
even
I'm totally
like
looking at the box.
the moment I see this writing on the note, it's flipped over.
Yeah. So you palm that, and across the very top like shelf, there's a little hiss as like almost like as the that particular drawer like pops open a little bit, like a gas had released from it. Like not a
Like a
No, no.
pressurized thing.
yeah, exactly. Not okay, now do your poison check.
Yeah.
No, it's more like psst,
Yeah.
the freshness seal has been broken.
Yeah.
Um
I've opened
And-
a can of Pringles.
yeah, exactly. And you can see that there are 4 stones, probably about the size of a silver dollar, and about like yay thick.
Stones that may or may not fit into the gauntlets that we've got.
No, this wouldn't fit into the gauntlet.
Okay.
And it just says listening stones.
Huh.
See instructions.
Which I'm guessing oh, it is.
They're bugs. We're the FBI.
We're totally AI FBI. Dren is not going to use it for its intended purpose.
Dren doesn't get to
No,
use
it's
these.
the
What's it
AI.
sound like when Thunuk poops?
Oh God.
Just
Imagine-
because,
I don't know.
just
He
because
immediately wants to swallow it.
Omen's that kind of bastard, so it's AIIA, Acquisitions Incorporated Intelligence Agency.
I thought you meant internal affairs.
That too.
Both work.
So, question:
Okay.
can I collapse this again?
Yes.
Okay, I instantly collapse it again.
So you're able to, as you start pushing in the sides, everything just kind of like
Yeah.
folds. Yeah, it's not like where you. No, that's the wrong one. No, I got to start. No, which one do I start with? And every time
No. Okay.
it all
So,
goes.
The moment it's reformed,
Mhm,
I turn it to Dren
mhm.
and I go try and open it.
Okay, I was watching what he was doing, so if I go to push the buttons.
Mm-hmm. So they slide in.
Fuck. I'm immediately
Silence.
upset.
So I would like it known from here on as an unwritten rule. Every time I am not using this writing station, it is closed.
Okay.
unless
was-
unless he expressly says, "I left it open."
Unless, what was that about Drenmai using my listening stones to listen to Thunuk poop?
I didn't realize I wanted to swallow it so I could see what it sounds
So I
like.
can see what it sounds like when I poop.
No, this is a bad idea, and you should not be allowed to do that.
At which point, I turn around on my chair because I'm assuming I've got a swivelly chair.
Yeah.
Because why would I not have a
If
swivelly chair?
it wasn't swiveled before, Drenmai had already tweaked it to make sure that it swiveled.
Does Corbin?
Yeah. I was getting to that. So I swing around on my swivelly chair.
Hugons unfortunately swivels this way.
For those on the podcast, there was a very evil steeple finger as he swung around in the chair.
So he swings around with his fingers steepled, and he says, "Well then, it looks like we've identified this person. What's our next move?"
I'm still by the wood
Why?
station trying to click the buttons.
We can't take them in a straight up fight.
No,
Not by a long shot.
not even close.
Not even close. Even if we had the centaurs, the mages,
And the
and the druids, we're coming away with that. With
And if we only had a wheelbarrow.
we may not win, we may not lose, but we'll wish that we hadn't fought them, even if we have all of our allies on our side
But
at this moment.
this is the thing: is what is our goal?
Well, it's to stop them,
Right,
but I'm saying that we
But-
shouldn't do it by fighting.
right,
That's a non-starter.
right. But this is what I'm seeing: is what is our end goal? right? Are we looking to put an end to House Kai and his many retinues, especially since he's got Tomasi's family under threat?
Does he?
What?
Oh,
Looks that way.
that would make sense. He seemed like he wanted to say yes the whole time.
Yeah. Or are we just looking to protect the town? Which means we just need to stop Kai operating here.
We have to save the people. Tomasi's family. I have to save Tomasi's family. That's not nice.
Right. But, again, Lord Kai has said he has influence in Elbalder as well. And if most of the trade for this city comes through Elbalder, will he sanction the town if we push him out?
He'll try, almost certainly. He's the kind of noble that looks like he doesn't like being denied, and he's going to do everything in his power to wound us if we deny him. Us personally and the town.
He reminds me of a blight. Like when fruit is rotting on the vine, like a mold. He's hurting everything he touches.
Except himself.
Well, that's what a blight is like. It harms everything except for itself, or its own self-interest and gain. It throws off the balance of everything.
Okay, so how do you cure a blight?
Well, if it's a fungus, usually there's a powders, or you just remove the source of it. If it's a mold, you need to dry things out first. But
yeah, but what I'm saying is the idea is to get rid of this person. Question is, how do we do it?
Is there any way that we can get him singled out? Because with Hugo, wait, did Hugon let everyone know that we can't take?
We've been told.
Yeah, I said that out
talking
loud.
about that
Okay.
openly.
Okay, so with him, do we know that as if our collective unit could take him?
The Lord?
If we're trying to get rid of him.
As fun as that would be, I think that's a bad idea.
Okay. Would it be a bright idea to get the guard involved because he is technically doing illegal dealings?
I think that we can make life difficult for him that way, but he's got enough influence, money, and very dangerous and very powerful friends. If we bring in people, like, there's nothing to say that they wouldn't just start dying. Like,
So we need to catch him in a trap then where it's obvious.
Yeah, Zedrim Kai does not seem like the kind of man to weep over.
Define trap.
We need to put him in a situation that other people are going to be able to notice what's going on.
Because I may have something.
is it a rabbit snare?
No.
Those work. Well, they work on rabbits.
You mentioned when you were talking to him about his dealings, you said Duke Amasis may have intense interest in his operations in Elbalder, which is technically one of Duke Amasis's fiefdoms, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I can bet my bottom dollar, my last gold piece, that Zedrim Kai has not cleared anything with Duke Amasis. Duke
We need
Amasis,
to get a message to Duke Amasis.
yes. Or at least inform him of what's happening so that he can bring his own power to bear on the matter.
I'm gonna pull out my documentsy book, the old Trapper Keeper, and
Of which there was a slot to keep it in your writing box.
Yeah.
It's bigger on the inside.
I was well aware of that. And I'm going to send a message to the Secretarian. What do we know about the holdings and influence of one Zedrim Kai? You see, and I'm gonna detail everything that we found out.
Mm-hmm.
How he seems to be. I'm gonna talk to the names of his retinue.
Mm-hmm.
The identity of the archer. Like I'm gonna detail all of it and say, we're at a point where we are fighting a battle we can't win physically, so it is time to start fighting politically.
Mm-hmm.
We need ammunition.
And this is all going into the note from the secretary.
Going to the Secretarian.
Okay. So,
and I'm expecting it to take a little while to get back to me.
Yeah, well, it does. You get a note scratched back that says,
"Message received automated. Will return message
away from desk right now. The secretary will answer your message as soon as humanly possible."
And I'm going to be writing this as we're talking.
Yeah. In the meantime, if you have an HR question, please write the humanitarianist. If you have a question about time off or benefits.
And then
dial AIER.
And then while I'm doing this, I'm going to say, what do we, as a team, want to achieve here?
For me personally, I want to know about Mr. Shadow Archer.
What do you want to know?
That's literal involvement and the whole. I mean, that person had access to making the portal and all that stuff. So there's something going on there that's very interesting, personally, to Dren. Like, what is the connect? Why is this Shadow Archer in connection to, Zedrim Kai, and what's that all about?
Well, they seem to be his personal guard.
I think it's quite the other way around.
I think Zedrim Kai is under the influence of the Shadow Archer?
No, I think Zedrim Kai does not understand who he's dealing with, and he's fallen in with people or willingly committed himself to agents who have designs outside of simple money making. Those two plate-mailed men felt to me like
death.
Yeah, evil. Like people who make their living not only killing but destroying things.
They did smell bad.
I did feel funny around those people.
I mean, when the older one looked at me, it was like being a greenhorn again. It was like being unaware of what to do and being filled with fear, and that's not normal. I don't know if that happened to anyone else, but I know what I felt.
You feel like hugs and puppies, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think it's we have to, whatever their designs are, we have to block them somehow. We have to make it untenable for them to continue this.
And how are we supposed to track them if they're working on their own? By means through Zedrim Kai.
Zedrim Kai does not seem to be a stealthy individual. He to me seems like he relies wholly on his upper station in life to just bully his way around.
No, I mean, yeah, the Shadow Archer we can track because we have the arrow, but I can't imagine that the Death Knights are always going to be around him.
Well, I'm not so much interested in tracking them. I'm more concerned about figuring out what they want and preventing them from getting it. And whether what they want is something concrete, like an object, or what they want is something like this town. I mean, we can't let that happen. I don't have the smarts to tell you how to make it that way, but I know that that's what we need to prevent.
Okay, DM.
Hold on. Bob was going to
Okay,
say.
go ahead.
No. Please go.
Okay.
Okay. Since I was kind of out there on that outside area all the time, I probably at least heard or saw or something that was giving like between the Death Knights, since I was kind of watching them the whole time. Can I use one of my retcon coins? Because I'm sneaky AF.
Okay.
Are you?
And I can do all kinds of bullshit spells.
Oh, okay.
I want to see if I can get any note or missive or pickpocket or whatever that I can off of either the Death Knights or the Shadow Archer
Oh.
Okay.
for any information that I can find.
Yeah, I think that's an yes.
Okay.
It's not building Voltron. I understand.
I'm not gonna build Voltron yet,
Yet.
but
But the
want
word
my
yet.
little sneaky AF self. Oh, I'm trying to magic bullshit my way through. It's possible. I guarantee it.
Give me
Ledgermain a note right out of their pocket. Arcane trickster shit.
Yeah, so give me a give me a stealth check.
I'm so good at stealth.
Are you using some kind of magical?
Whoa there, Soundwave.
Whoa.
Soundwave.
Voltron.
Ooh.
Soundwave.
You
Better
said
now?
Yeah, you. I
You're
have
fine
no
now.
idea what you just said.
Oh. Would you be doing would you be going stealth, or would you be using some kind of magical means to achieve your ends?
I was gonna stealth it. I can let's see. I don't want to do that because that would give my hand away. I could minor illusion something as a distractionary purpose if it would give me an advantage on my stealth roll.
I would allow that, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna create like basically maybe a sound boom opposite where I am.
Okay.
It'd be just some kind of loud noise that would it's loud enough to grab people's attentions.
And that's a cantrip, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. There we go. I minor illusion a lion in the middle of the street that roars really loudly at them.
Okay, well, this sounds like it's gonna work, and then suddenly a fucking lion.
It would be distractionary.
I'll
I
allow
can make
that
it a bright
for
lion.
I will allow that for advantage.
Sweet. Okay. I'm good at stealth. Do I have to like do an investigation first? Like if I notice on where to go?
So tell me what it is that you're trying to do. So you're gonna go
with me listening to all of them when they were hanging out and they were doing their dealings inside. I want to get a sense before Thanook and them came out on. I mean, they kind of stand out, so I'm just trying to get like, were they talking about something, or did I see a note pass to one and I want to go for something like that?
Okay. So yeah, you would have seen a note passed from Davgol Dryadson, who was the one that the arrow identified, being passed to Patror Arroway, who was the armored human that Thunuk was not trying to cure his voice.
Okay. And he was one of the Death Knight looking guys?
He was the younger one of the two, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I want to pickpocket the Death Knight then.
All right. So you want to do a stealth check.
Stealthy AF. Okay, I got 16. Oh wait, I get advantage. Hold on.
Yeah, advantage.
22.
All right, yeah. So you're able to stealth over and get like underneath the,
Like under the tables.
yeah, you're like under like the bench, and now you're gonna try for a pickpocket.
Yeah, I want to pickpocket that note like right out of his pocket, or like
This
armor.
would be that's a dex check, correct?
Sleight
Okay.
of hand.
Sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand.
Do you have?
I do.
Ooh,
I'm not as good at stealthy, but I'm not bad at sleight of hand.
okay.
17.
That'll do it.
I rolled a 15.
So you're able to reach up.
Yes.
You're cutting out.
You're
Brian.
gone again.
Oh, you're able to slide.
It's somehow the way you're sitting is triggering this. I don't know if you're hitting the connecting cable or something like that.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's my technological leprosy. It is Sunday,
It is Sunday.
which means all technology will fail in my presence. Yeah, so you're able to reach up and slide the note out of his pocket. And are you looking at it right then, or are you sneaking away with it again?
No, I'm gonna go back to my hidey hole in the corner.
Okay. So you're able to do that. So now is this a case of now
Okay,
where we
so-
snap back into real time? You're like, oh, I found this.
Yeah, go back to real time. Like after, like, okay, I've been pushing the buttons on the thing and be like, oh yeah, I did this thing. I'm gonna pull it out of my pocket and I'm gonna read it while they were talking about possibilities on who we should go after.
Okay, so what you have there is actually a map.
Oh,
And it's a map of pretty much from it, and it's not in great detail. Excuse me. It's not in great detail, but it does have some markings in the Chandel, just outside of the Chandlewood, kind of like around. So that if you can imagine, the Chandlewood kind of has like this curving western border, and it's up north of around from El Boulder. There's a couple of like little X's marked on there. With notations, it looks like for it says Duke's forces. So possibly marking some garrisons, and then it has different areas.
Out of interest,
Yeah.
have we encountered a Duke?
No, that was the one you guys were talking about before.
Massus.
Amasis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You hadn't made
That-
it clear he was a Duke, so
Yeah.
that's what I was-
I thought it was just Lord, but Duke Massus is.
Duke Amasis.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then, but then when you also notice is that there are red circles around different areas, around different cities and towns, from El Boulder all the way up to the Sword Coast. With El Boulder circled with a 1, Baldur's Gate 2, Neverwinter 3, Red Larch 4, Waterdeep 5, and in red next to them, it just says "See you there."
Could you repeat those spots,
This-
please?
El Boulder, Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter, Red Larch, Waterdeep.
I'm
One
gonna
of-
look at it. Oh, go ahead, Bob.
One
No,
of
he's
these-
counting.
No, one of
Oh.
these things is not like the other.
One of these things just doesn't belong.
Your thumb.
No, the
Sorry, that's
Baldur's
a
Gate,
Finnock.
Neverwinter, Waterdeep are the largest cities, some of the largest cities on this part of the continent. All on the coast. Then there's El Boulder and Red Larch, which I've never heard of Red Larch. I don't even know where that is, but El Boulder.
It's a nice place.
Is it? No, I'll take your word
Because
for
they
it.
make good beer.
I'm still holding Corbin's still holding his hand up.
Yeah.
So we've got what, 6
I haven't
places?
shown you guys this yet.
Well, I thought you were doing it while we were talking.
You
No,
just
I
said.
was looking at it.
Oh, I thought you said you read it out loud. Oh, okay.
No. I was looking at it. What I was gonna do, because it looks like it's some military type thing. So my immediate reaction is to take it over to Hugon and be like, "This makes sense to you? This looks like I pickpocketed it off of the Death Knight,
And like,
Mr. Spiky Man."
I'm like, Hugon is about to be like very cross at this, like, at you for like stealing shit and like probably almost getting killed. And then he like looks at it and it's like, oh shit. Huh. And then he turns it and shows Corbin, we've got a map.
So it gave us 6 cities.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 5. El Boulder,
Yeah, 5.
Baldur's Gate,
Mhm.
Neverwinter, Red
Oh,
Larch.
I was including Pinedale. Sorry.
Red
Okay.
Oh yeah, Pinedale was not circled on
So
it. Like
one of these 5 is not like the others, and let's see if you can work out how.
I'm not super good with riddles.
It's not a riddle, really.
Well,
Elvolder is the only one of these cities that does not have an Acquisitions Incorporated franchise.
Oh, that's not where I was going to go with it, but yes, that's probably true.
I was going to say it's the only place I've been on the map.
No.
Oh, those 5 places.
It's also the least well defended.
And the smallest, I would assume.
Probably. I don't know. I've never been to Red Larch, so.
and you hear a scritching in your Trapper Keeper.
Ooh.
And it says, data packet incoming, too large to transfer this way.
Email does not have enough gigabyte size to allow.
Your file is too mighty. Tone down the file, son.
Please allow permission for one-time transfer of large data packet. Allow yes, no.
I will pull out the appropriate form. I will open my new writing desk. And I will fill out said form.
And watches again to make sure she didn't do anything wrong.
And I will fill out the forms and submit them.
Okay.
It will be yes, one-time data packet.
And as you do that, as soon as you finish filling it out and submitting it in the appropriate
Triplicate or whatever. Yeah.
exactly, it says stand by.
And Bren's bag vomits.
And you hear,
God damn it again!
you do hear like the cat, the whole, and this little
I gotta fix that.
size of a basketball, like copper looking ball just comes out. And then like these 2 little feet pop out and it stands up and it expands in the middle and these 2 little eyes light up and it just goes, beady beady.
What's up, Buck?
I totally pick it up.
And that's where we're going to go to our first break for the day.
We're calling this thing Buck, by the way.
Okay.
Or
It's B period U period C period K period.
Yeah.
We'll figure out what it stands for later.
So yeah, that's where we are going to take our first break of today's session.
Choice. I like it.
So for the folks who are watching us live right now, we will be back in just a couple of minutes. Thank you for joining us for the first half. For the folks of you who are joining us on podcast, that concludes the first half of the podcast. The second half will be available shortly through your favorite syndication platforms. And we will see you all in just a couple of minutes.
Maybe.
within the core. Other forests can be heard and hear a spirit song, sealed from long before. Now awaken to devour the essence of our soul.